Hello everyone, this is Brianna Rutter from HowToBlackHair.com, and I will be teaching you how to do Zillion braids, or as known as micro braids. So micro braids are extremely tiny individual braids that you braid throughout your entire head. The reason why this style is also called Zillion braids is because there's so many braids it's hard to count them. The materials that you will need to do this style will be 5 packages or bundles of synthetic braiding hair. You will also need a comb, hair cutting scissors, a water spray bottle to spray your hair, and hair gel. I will also be accessorizing my micro braid style, so if you would like to do the same styles, the materials you will need will be headbands, bobby pins, and hair ties. So once you have all of your supplies ready, in the next step, I will show you in detail, step by step, how to do micro braids on your own hair. Here we are in step number 2 of the Zillion Micro Braid style. In this step, I will be showing you in detail, step by step, how to braid your own micro braids. First, I will begin by showing you how to position your hands on your hair extensions. I will also be showing you how to part your hair into sections and then how to braid your own micro braids. Before you begin braiding your micro braids, you want to make sure that your hair has already been parted into a section. To part my hair, I will be using my water hair spray bottle to spritz my hair as it helps me to part my hair. I will also be using a comb to part my hair and to detangle through my hair as well. The type of comb that I like to use has 3 different size teeth, and each size teeth serve for different purposes. The teeth here on the left side of my comb serve as your typical comb. The teeth here on the right side you use to help part your hair and even detangle your hair as well. The teeth at the bottom of my comb serves as your typical pick, so depending on what type of style you have, you could fluff the roots of your hair for more of a voluminous look, or you could simply use the pick at the end of the comb for detangling your hair. I will be using the pick at the end and even the 2 teeth at the top of the comb to help me as I am parting and sectioning my hair. So first, I will begin by grabbing my spray bottle and misting the section of hair that I will be parting for my micro braid. Now I will be taking my comb and I will part an extremely small square of hair on my head. The section of hair that you will be using for your Zillion braid is an extremely small patch of hair. That is the reason why they're called micro braids, is because the braids are micro sized. So this section that I have parted off, I could say that the measurement on both sides is probably 1/4 of an inch. You just want to part an extremely small piece of hair that you will be using for your micro braid extensions. So now that I've parted my section of hair, I will use my comb to detangle through my hair, and then you want to apply hair gel on the ends of your hair to keep your hair slick within your braids. Now that you have parted your section of hair, I will show you how to position your hands on your hair extensions. Now that you have parted your section of hair on your head for your micro braids, I will show you how to actually prepare your hair extensions and position your hands on your hair for your braiding process. So the type of hair that I have here is extremely light colored hair. This hair is blonde and my hair is not blonde. The reason why I am using this blonde hair is so you can clearly see the distinction between the weave and my natural hair so that you can understand the braiding technique. So I will be doing the same thing to this blonde hair that I would do with black hair as I am braiding my hair. This is the hair after I've taken it out of the package, and it's kind of long. The length of this hair, if I braided the braids all the way down to the bottom, it would fall almost at my waist. So what you want to do is make sure you locate the middle of this section of hair, and you want to cut the hair in half. So the part that's in my hand here, you will be cutting in half with your scissors so that the length isn't too long. If you would like your braids past your shoulders, then leave the length as is. But if you would like your braids to fall a little bit at your shoulders, go ahead and cut the hair in half. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to take off a little bit of the hair from this bundle to show you how much hair you need for your actual micro braid. So I'm just going to pinch a little bit off here. And then I am going to cut this piece of hair in half. Now this is how much hair you would actually need for your micro braid. You could use a little bit more for extremely full braids, or a little bit less if you want your braids to be a little bit thinner. But this is about the size of hair that you will need for your micro braid. So now you want to locate the middle of the hair here. And I'm going to bring both sides to one side just to show you. And then you're simply going to divide this hair into two parts. But when you divide this hair into two parts, you want to pinch it off with a third and then 2/3 in your other hand. Now I have a third of the hair in my right hand and 2/3 of the hair in my left hand, and I've made sure that both sides are equal in length. So now what you want to do is take your small piece of hair, your third, and wrap it around the 2/3. And then bring both ends back together. So now the sections are divided equally into 3 parts. The fact that this part here was 2/3 and this part in my hand here was 1/3, when I brought the piece back together, this divided everything up into 3 equal parts. You want to make sure that your hair is consistently in 3 parts so that your braids look very uniform. So now to position your hands on your hair, you want to take your left hand and you want to insert your index finger through the middle of that 2/3 piece of hair that we've broken up into. So in the middle goes your index finger, and your middle finger and your thumb goes around the hair to hold the hair in your hands. So once again, I'm going to show you your index finger through the middle, your thumb and your middle finger on the outside, and you're just going to use the rest of your hands to hold the hair. So now for your right hand, you're going to take your 3 main fingers of your hand, your thumb, index, and middle finger, and you're going to hold it, position it around this hair here. So I'm just going to go ahead, grab the hair into all 3 of my fingers like this. And you want to make sure that your hands are positioned as close to this point as possible. So now that your hand's positioned, the last and crucial step for positioning your hand for your micro braids, you are going to take your right hand that has your 3 main fingers, you are going to twirl it underneath, and then you're going to stick your index finger through the opening of the hair that's in your left hand. So the index finger goes through, and then with your index finger and your thumb, you're going to pinch that hair that's in between those 2 fingers, and now I can release my right hand. So at this point, this is where you will start actually braiding your hair. You will only start with your right hand to grab all of your hair as you are braiding. So now that I've shown you how to prepare the hair on your head for your braids, and also how to prepare your hands on your extensions, I will be showing you how to braid your micro braid. So first, I will begin by going over the hair once again, how you want to position your hands. So I break the third off from the 2/3, wrap the third around the 2/3 to bring that third back together again, and there's my 3 equal parts. So now my left hand, the index finger goes through the opening of the 2/3, and the rest of my hands go around. And then my right hand, the 3 main fingers are positioned on the hair. Now you are going to turn your right hand under, insert your index finger through the opening that's there at your your left hand. So insert your index finger, and the hair that's in between your index finger now and your thumb, you pinch together. Now you can release your left hand and the hairs in your right hand, and you can begin braiding. So the reason why I have this blonde hair is so that as I am braiding my hair, you can clearly see the distinction between the different parts of the weave and also how I incorporate it into my micro braid. So to begin, here we have our part here on our head. It's already been detangled and sectioned, and hair gel has been applied to the ends. So now at this point, you have your right hand here, and you want to take your left hand and put it over your head to help you as you are braiding your hair. Now, all of the hair that's on my part will be added to the middle layer that's in between my index finger and my thumb there. So this piece of hair here is what will be connected to my real hair. So now what you will do with your left hand is take all of the hair that's on your scalp, gather it together, and you are going to open up your index finger and your thumb to grab the hair. So once again, I will show you exactly what happened. So the hair is in my right hand, and I will be opening up my index finger and my thumb to grab all of the hair that's on my scalp. So my left hand, I'm going to gather all of the hair. Then I'm going to go ahead, open my index finger and my thumb and grab all of the hair on my scalp. So now that I've grabbed all of the hair, I'm going to take my left hand again, put it over my head, and I'm going to grab this section of hair here and pull it over to the side. As I pull it to the side, I'm going to rotate my right hand to the right and create a little opening here in between my index finger and also my ring finger. So now I'm going to take my index finger of my left hand, and I'm going to go in and hook this bottom piece of hair here to add to my left hand. So I'm going to go ahead and hook that, and now it's connected to my left hand. And now my right hand is free. So now my right hand again, with my 3 main fingers, I'm going to grab my real hair and the extension hair into my fingers there and position everything in place once more. So now that my left hand has 2 strands of hair, my left hand is going to rotate to the left to create an opening here. So in between this opening, I insert my index finger and I hook this bottom piece of hair to add to my right hand. The hair is still broken up into 3 parts even when I add it to my hand. So now my left hand is free again with this piece of hair there, and my right hand has 2 strands of hair. Every time one of your hand has 2 strands of hair, you're going to rotate that hand. Since my right hand now has 2 strands of hair, the right hand gets rotated to the right. But if my left hand had 2 strands of hair, it would get rotated to the left. So now I'm just going to grab this hair here, put it over to the side, and also rotate my right hand to the right. And then I'm going to create that opening there. Once that opening is created, I take my index finger of my left hand and I hook the bottom piece of hair to add to my left hand. And the process continues. Rotate my left hand to the left, insert my index finger to hook the bottom piece of hair, and now my left hand is free. Grab this piece of hair again, rotate my right hand to the right, insert my index finger and grab that bottom piece of hair here. And now I am forming my braid. You only need to do this about 3 to 4 times, maybe even 5 times, and then you can actually just continue to braid all the way down to the bottom. So since my arm is a little bit uncomfortable because it's wrapped around my head, I like to release to make sure that the braid is still holding on to my hair. And then I'm just gonna grab each of the 3 pieces with my hands. And then I'm just going to continue to braid to the bottom. You're just going to continue to braid all the way down. And sometimes one of the ends are a little shorter than the other. As you can see, this middle end is a little bit shorter than the rest of the hair. But you're just going to continue to braid down until you can't go any longer. And then you can even borrow the hair from one of the sides to add to that section. So this middle section seems to be the longest, and I'm just going to pinch a little bit of hair off there to add to this short end. And then I can continue braiding to the bottom. So every time one of the sides gets short, like I see this side here is getting shorter, I could pinch off a little piece of hair to add to that side so that it can become a little bit longer and more even with the rest of the pieces. So now that you finished braiding your micro braid, you want to make sure that you snip off any pieces of hairs that stick outside of your braid. So as you go down your hair, you notice that there's little bits of pieces of hair that sticks out. Now sometimes this just simply comes from shorter sides of your braid that start to run out and you start to see these frayed ends. What you want to do is take your scissors and simply snip off the hairs on the edges of the braid. This helps your braid to look a lot more neater so that when you're finished, your braids are not fuzzy. Now that you have done your first micro braid, I will show you a second time once again how to do your micro braid. And for example, I'm showing you with blonde hair so you can clearly see the braiding technique and process. So remember, in between your index finger and your thumb, you will be grabbing your real hair and it will be connected to this strand here. So now to begin, I'm going to gather all of my hair here for my section with my left hand, and I'm going to open my index finger and my thumb to grab all of my real hair. So once you've gathered all of the hair, you are going to take your left hand, grab the blonde hair here. Now I'm going to move this over to the side and rotate my right hand, since it has two strands of hair. Rotate my right hand to the right and create a little opening there. And then take the index finger of my left hand, hook this bottom piece of blonde hair, and connect it with my left hand. So now my right hand is free and my left hand has two strands of hair. Now I'm going to take my three main fingers of my right hand, grab my real hair with that strand of hair there, and then my left hand is going to get rotated to the left. Once I rotate it to the left, I create a little opening here. I'm going to hook my index finger on that bottom strand to connect that back to my right hand. And now my left hand is free once again. So I move the left hair out of the way with my left hand, and I take my right hand, since it has two strands, and rotate it to the right. Grab my index finger, hook it onto this bottom piece of blonde hair to add to my left hand. Once again, rotate the left hand to the left, this opening here, grab it with my index finger, and now my left hand is free again and my right hand has two strands of hair. Every time one of your hand is holding two strands of hair, you have to rotate that hand to turn it. So since my right hand has two strands of hair, I turn my right hand to the right to create a little opening there, take my index finger, and I hook that small piece. And you're going to continue this process about 3 to 4 to even 5 times until the braid is snug onto your head. You can keep doing this until you go as comfortably down on the hair as you can before you release. Once I release, the braid should stay, and if it doesn't stay, I should braid down further. So now once I let go, the braid should be intact as you see there. The reason why I let go is because I honestly cannot continue to braid all the way down with my hand over my head. So I release and take both my fingers of my hands, and then I position my hands back on those 3 sections of hair that I have. And then I just continue braiding all the way to the bottom. So as you're learning how to braid, you're probably gonna move at a very slow speed like this. I've been braiding my hair ever since I was 12 to 11 years old. So I could go extremely fast, but I am doing the same motion that anyone else is doing. I'm rotating the piece of hair and I'm continuing to braid down. As you get more comfortable with braiding, you can go a lot faster. Now remember, if you have any hairs that stick out of your braids, make sure to use your combs to snip off the hairs. But if your real hair sticks out of your braids, use hair gel to slick your hair down to your braids. In this step, I have shown you how to part and section your hair for your braids. I've also shown you how to position your hands on your extensions and braid your own micro braid. In the next step, step number 3, I will be giving you my best tips, tricks, and advice for doing your micro Zillion braids. Welcome to step number 3 of the micro Zillion braid style. In this step, I will be sharing 6 of my best tips, tricks, and advice for doing your micro braids. Tip number 1. Beauty is not pain, preventing hair loss and alopecia. All of my life, I've felt like beauty was pain. Every time I've sat in a chair and got my hair braided or twisted or pinned up, it always hurt, and it hurt literally for weeks at a time. Beauty is not pain because with pain comes a lot of tragedy. You want to make sure that when you are braiding your hair is not too tight. It shouldn't feel sensitive. It shouldn't feel like the braids are too heavy, and it definitely shouldn't feel uncomfortable. When you're braiding your hair and it simply hurts, loosen your grip. You want to keep your hair for as long as you can, and putting too much tension on your hair will lead you to hair loss and alopecia. Alopecia is such a problem with women and their hair because they're simply putting too much tension on their scalp. If your head is hurting, that is your body alerting you and warning you that there's some pain and tension going on that needs to be relieved. If your braids in fact feel too tight or uncomfortable or too heavy, make sure you loosen your grip or simply use less hair for your braids. Tip number 2, braiding close to your roots. When you are braiding your hair, this is your number 1 goal to making sure that your braids look extremely neat and fresh, is to be as close to the roots of your scalp as possible. The closer you braid to the roots of your scalp, the more fresh your styles look. Now, this may be an issue if you're new because the braids sometimes can slide down the hair follicles because you're getting used to how to grip the certain sections of extensions and your hair. Make sure that you retry the braid and get it to as close to your roots as possible. So this way, it looks like your hair has been freshly done instead of looking like your braids were done 2 weeks ago. Tip number 3. Brick parting. When you are parting your hair, it's always best to part your hair into the fashion that bricks lay to ensure that you cover up as much scalp as possible. Most times women will have issues with their braids and feel like, my braids are full and thick, but why does my scalp show so much through my braids? One of the issues is simply that you probably need to add more hair to your braids, but mostly the issue is just the way that you part your hair into sections. So I have been parting my hair into brick sections, and I will show you exactly what that looks like. So here on the side of my head is where I'm going to show you how your parts need to look, or your braids need to look for brick parting. So I'm just going to remove one of the layers here and flip it over. And I'm going to show you a section of braids that directly shows brick parting. So here on one of my layers, I have a braid here. And right above that braid, I have 2 braids. So instead of one braid being stacked on top of one another, I have the braids that are shifted either slightly to the left or the right so that braids fill up empty spaces. So here I can show you an example again. I have 2 braids here. And then right above this braid, I have another braid that lays directly in that space. and that's called brick parting and brick layering. And as you can see, that cover up any scalp that was showing, which creates more of a fuller braid look. Tip number 4, creating longer braids. This is an extremely easy tip and quick tip to do to add length to your braids. If you would like braids that are extremely long, you could simply leave the pack of hair that is uncut and braid to the very bottoms. Since we've cut our hair in half, we've already predetermined how far down our braids are going to be. When you make sure that you directly have your hands placed in the middle of your section of hair so that two of the sides are equal, this already gives you the length that you need or want. So if I pinch this here and put it right at the root of my hair and stretch the hair downwards, it tells me exactly how far my hair falls. But as you can see, my braids are a lot longer than the hair that I have here. So the way that you add more length to your braids is to simply shift both sides of the hair to make sure that one side and the other side are a little bit longer than what it appears to be. So for example, I will show you as if I'm going to demonstrate a braid. I'm going to divide the 1/3 and the 2/3 from the hair. And this time, instead of making sure both sides are pretty much equal, I'm going to shift the sides so that one of the sides are a little bit longer. So if you see this one piece of hair here, I'm pinching the top part, whereas the left side is shorter and the right side is longer. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my second piece of hair, and I'm gonna make sure that they're equal to one another by having a short side and a long side. So now I'm pinched in this position to where it's not entirely equal on all lengths, and I'm going to wrap it around that piece of hair. So with my hair divided into my sections and I've shifted both sides of the length of the hair, now my braid will actually be a lot longer than what I've had. So where I'm pinched at now, you can go right up to your scalp and hold it there as if it's a braid. Stretch your hands down the hair, and now it matches the length of your braids. So that is how you add length to your braids. Just simply divide the hair into half, and instead of making sure that all of the hair is equal on the bottom, shift both sides so that it actually creates more length at the bottom. Tip number 5, snipping the frayed ends. Previously, I have shown you in step 2 how to make sure to snip your frayed ends and any hair that sticks out of your braids. To snip your frayed ends, you simply want to grab one of your braids and just quickly examine to see where any hairs stick out. If there are any hairs sticking out the side of your braids or obnoxiously sticking out the bottom of your braid, you're simply going to carefully take your scissors and snip along the sides to where the hair sticks out. This is extremely easy and simple. By snipping your frayed ends, this creates more of a uniform and perfect braid. Last but not least, tip number 6, practice. This is by far one of my most important tips that I have to offer you, and it is my most overlooked tip of them all. Remember, practice makes perfect. Most times when people try something, especially doing braids for the first time, you don't get it. Usually your first time is your worst time because you're new to the entire concept. By knowing how to braid your hair, what to do, how to avoid common mistakes, you have to continue to practice at this craft. Please do not get discouraged or frustrated and quit, because the more you practice at doing your hair, the more you put in experience and time and patience, the more you will be able to do very beautiful micro braid extensions. So remember, in order to get better, the only way you can get better at doing your braids is by practicing. So there you have it, 6 of my best tips and tricks for doing your micro Zillion braid extensions. In the next step, step number 4, I will show you how to do your micro braids in a rush. Here we are in step number 4 of the micro Zillion braid style. In this step, I will be showing you how to do your micro braids in a rush. So when you're doing your micro braids in a rush, this means that your style isn't actually done, but it appears to be completely finished. What I have done is braided around the entire perimeter of my head. So the way I have my braids just slung over on my head it looks as if my entire head is finished, but in fact it isn't. So if I go ahead and take my braids down, you could see I still have my natural hair exposed here in the middle of my head. So one trick that I always do when I am doing my Zillion braids is that I make sure to braid thick enough around the entire perimeter of my head. When you're doing Zillions, the thickness you probably want is at least between 6 to 8 braids per row. So if you go from my hairline and then as far back until where my real hair is, there's probably about an 8 to 7 braid thickness around my entire head. Depending on the size of your braid, you probably need more braids to conceal your hair if you are braiding your braids extremely tiny. My braids are small enough, but I don't need as much braids to cover up my hair. So I've been braiding my hair for about 5 to 6 hours, and this is what I have so far. So if I put my hand up here at the top of my head, I probably have 2 palm size or 2 hand size full of hair at the very top of my head. But to make sure that I can do the style in a rush, I simply grab some section of my braids and I flatten it over my hair and I look to see if any of my hair is peeking through. If it is, I will just take the braids, let them fall back down, and continue to braid a couple of rows of micro Zillion braids to cover up my hair. So I've completely braided just enough around my entire head to do this style in a rush. This is something you always want to do when you're doing your micro braids because you never know if you have to go run an errand, if you have to go out in public, or if an emergency comes up. You don't want your hair to be the fall of a horrible day. So just go ahead, braid around the edges until enough of your hair is concealed, and you can simply just grab it all up, bring it to the top, and put it into a ponytail. So there you have it. In this step, I have shown you how to do your micro Zillion braids in a rush. In the next step, step number 5, I will be showing you how to curl and seal the ends of your micro Zillion braids. Welcome to step number 5 of the micro Zillion braid style. In this step, I will be showing you how to curl and seal the ends of your braids. The supplies that you will need will be plastic hair curlers. You will also need hair cutting scissors and a dry towel to dry the ends of your braids. We will also be dipping the ends of our braids in a cup of hot water. Before you begin curling and sealing the ends of your braids, I must explain the type of rollers that I have and also when dealing with hot water. So the type of rollers that I have are called cold wave rollers. And these rollers could be used to place on your hair while your hair is already cool or to help achieve a curl with hot water. So you have a little stretchy rubber piece with a plunger on the end that helps to hold your hair into place as you are curling your hair. Now for micros, I like to use small curlers because I like the ends to be more of a tight curl. The size of these rollers are 1/4 of an inch. You could even use 1/2 of an inch or an inch size roller if you like. The higher you go up with the size of your rollers, the more wide or looser your curl may be. Also, this water that I have here is just a cup of extremely hot water. I made sure that the water was already boiling before I transferred it to a cup. Now, when you are using a cup of water, you need to make sure that you have a handle on the cup that does not get hot. As I touch this handle, it feels very cool to touch because when you are curling your hair, and if in any situation you have to reach and quickly grab the cup of water, you want to reach the handle instead of the hot cup. So remember that the water is extremely hot and you have to be safe, and your safety is in your hands. So when you are dealing with anything hot, whether it's water or any other type of solution, you have to take the necessary precautions to make sure that you do not burn yourself. Be extremely careful and take your time as you are curling the ends of your braids. So now that we have our cup of hot water and our rollers, we're going to begin by grabbing a section of our braids and rolling the hair with the rollers itself. So the braids are extremely small, as you may know, because these are micro Zillion braids. So I'm probably gonna grab about 6 to 8 braids. And then you want to take your roller and roll the ends of the braids. Now from the distance from my root to the ends, I like to only roll up 1/3 of the way on the braids. If you roll up any higher, you risk the chance of the steam or the water burning your scalp or your face or your skin in general. So I like to only roll up the amount of hair as I go 1/3 of the way up the braids. So you just want to gather all of the braids till you get to the end, grab your roller, and you can place it either on the top or behind. So I'm just gonna place the roller here on the top, and then the tail end of the braids, I'm going to roll around my roller. Once I do that, I'm just gonna roll up just a little bit more until I've achieved that bottom third of the hair, which is about there. And then you simply take your plunger and put it into the opening on the other side of the roller. And that is how you want to roll your braids with your rollers. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna roll all of your hair with your hair rollers, but for demonstration purposes, I will be showing you how you want to safely dip your rollers into the water to achieve your desired curl. So make sure that you have all of the materials out of the way so that you will only be focusing on your cup of hot water. So I'm just gonna move my cup here, and I'm going to position my dry towel in front of me so that when I pull my roller out of this water, I have a barrier of protection to make sure that no hot water drips on me at all. So with my towel here, I take my roller and I simply dip it into the water. Now, if you've rolled all of your hair, you could take as many as 5 to 6 rollers to dip into your cup of water. But you want to make sure that when you do that, you only insert 1 roller at a time so you do not splash water. So now I'm just going to go ahead and swish it around to release any air bubbles. And then when I pull it out, I'm going to grab my towel and use it as a protection from my skin and the hot water, and then raise the roller out, as you see there, and then cover up with the towel and dry. So you just want to squeeze all of the water you possibly can out of it. It may have some steam coming from it, but it should be comfortable to touch. So now that all of the water is out, you simply want to remove the plunger and unravel it from the ends of your braids. So once you've done that, what you could do is unravel all of your braids after you've dipped them in the water and then clean the ends, but I like to go section by section. So what I mean by cleaning the ends is that once I have dipped my roller into the water, I like to rake my fingers through the curls to release them and separate them. Once you do that, by cleaning the ends, you see that some of the pieces at the bottom kind of point in different directions, or they're extremely sparse with long pieces of hair. So what you want to do is just go ahead and take your scissors after you've raked all of the braids, and you're just gonna cut off the little bits of hair that's at the very bottom of your curls. The hair that doesn't quite curl, those are the hairs that you want to cut. So by taking your rollers and rolling them on your braids and dipping them into hot water, that is how you effectively seal the ends of your braids from unraveling and also providing a curl for your style. So now that you know how to roll your braids and dip them into water to achieve this curl, you do the entire thing over your entire head for the same exact look. In this step, I have shown you how to seal and curl the ends of your Zillion Micro Braids. Continue the same process over your entire head until all of the ends of your braids have been curled. In the next step, step number 6, I will be showing you the finished results of your micro Zillion braid style. Here we are in step 6, the finished results to your micro Zillion braid style. Have fun rocking your new hair. Now that your braids are finished, in the next step, step number 7, I will be showing you 3 easy ways to style your micro Zillion braids. Here we are in step number 7 of the micro Zillion braid style. In this step, I will be showing you 3 easy, simple ways to style your braids. The materials you will need will be bobby pins, headbands, and hair ties. The materials that you will need for your first style will be hair ties and headbands. Here is style number 1 for your micro braid style. For style number 2, I will only be using bobby pins. For this style, I took a square section of my hair and twisted each of the braids into a flat twist. Once I twisted it flatly, I pinned each twist with a bobby pin. On the left side of my head, I took the braids that were in front of my head, I placed my hand on my head, wrapped the braids directly around my hand, and simply pinned them into place. Here you have it, style number 2. Next is style number 3. For the last style, style number 3, I will be using hair ties and bobby pins. So here you have it. Last but certainly not least, style number 3. So there you have it, your third style for your Zillion Micro Braids. In this step, I have shown you 3 easy and simple ways to style your micro Zillion braid style. These are 3 styles that I've personally come up with to accessorize my hair. So feel free to accessorize in the way that you would like. Be as creative in your styling as you would like, and also search for other styles as well. In the next step, step number 8, I will be showing you how to take down your micro Zillion braids. Welcome to step number 8 of the micro Zillion braid style. In this step, I will be showing you how to safely remove and take down your micro braid extensions. For this step, you will be using your hands and a pair of scissors to help you take down your braids. When taking down your micro Zillion braids, the entire process is extremely easy. I will be showing you how to take down your braids with 2 of my micros that I have here. For demonstration purposes and to help you to clearly understand and see exactly how to take down your braids, I will only be doing 2 braids. But the process and the technique that goes along with taking down your hair, you do the same thing over your entire head until all of your braids have been removed. So first, I will be starting off with this braid here, and I'm just gonna separate those 2 that have the curl together. So with this braid here, what you want to do is clearly find where your hair is inside of the braid. Now, if it's hard to tell where your hair ends along your braid, and it's hard for you to see, I suggest that you take the entire braid down by hand. But if you are 100% confident that your hair ends at a certain point, then feel free to go ahead and cut a couple of inches below that point just to make sure. But I highly suggest that if you clearly cannot see where the ends of your hair are from the braid, that you go ahead and take down the entire braid by hand. So here on my first braid, I see that my hair sticks up here a little bit, and over time, as your style gets older, you will start to see that some of your hairs want to come out of the braid, and this is normal. So I see that my braid ends here, or my hair ends here, and what I'm going to do is go double that length down my braid and cut at a safe distance as I take down my micro braid. So I'm going to cut here. And now I'm just going to use my hands, and I'm going to unravel the braid all the way up to the root of my hair. Sometimes when you get close enough to the root, you can actually grab one of the legs of the braid and wiggle it off from your hair. But if it feels like it's still on really tight, just be careful and continue to take your braid all the way down. So there you have it. You're gonna do the same technique over your entire head until all of your braids have been taken down. If in fact you feel that you've cut your hair, make sure to grab your braid at the point where you've started, and then put it back up to your scalp to check and see if you've actually cut your hair. So I'm just gonna put that back to my scalp and stretch out my hair and the weave itself. And as you can see, I clearly cut all the way past my hair. This is my hair here, and this is the weave. But make sure that if you cannot see your hair, that you take the braids down by hand. This ensures that you will not accidentally cut your hair while you are taking down your micro braids. Once again, a little bit closer, I will be showing you how to take down your micro braids. So make sure that you have your scissors in hand and that you're only concentrating on one braid at a time. So now for my second example, I have my braid here. And from this braid, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where my hair sticks out of the braid. I know it's somewhere generally in this area, but just to be safe, I'm just gonna go ahead and take down this entire braid by hand. I'm just gonna locate the braid all the way to the very bottom. And then I'm going to start to unravel as I get close to the root of my hair. When you're taking down your hair, it's best to do it in a non-pressured time of space. You have somewhere to be very soon. I do not suggest that you take down your hair because you will rush or even accidentally cut your real hair. One thing that I like to do when I am taking down my braids, and I know it will probably take me a while, is to simply pop on a movie that I've been wanting to see or just watch a funny TV show, something to keep me busy and make this time enjoyable as I am taking down my braid. The more you know your hair and you are used to your hair length, you can estimate how far your hair is, and you could, if you would like, go ahead and cut all of your braids so that you can start taking them down. But what I like to do most of the time is only concentrate on one braid at a time, cut it at a comfortable length that I feel comfortable at, and then take it down by hand. Sometimes you can even use a comb and simply just comb your way all the way up your braid if that's what you would like to do as well. But by using your fingers, you're more gentle on your hair and you ensure that you don't lose a lot of strands of hair and that you're safely taking down your braids. And also, remember that the fact that you may have had your braids in for a while, when you're taking down your hair, you will notice that strands will come out. You shed at about 80 to 100 hairs a day. So as you're taking down your hair, don't be frightened that, oh, I'm losing strands, and that's perfectly normal. So now that I'm getting close to the root, I'm just separating each piece as I've done from the bottom. And sometimes I can kind of wiggle the pieces of the weave and it comes all the way down off of my hair. In this step, I have shown you how to take down and remove your micro Zillion braids. Make sure to keep my tips in mind as you are removing your extensions. Also, check out our videos, blogs, and online store at howtoblackhair.com. Thanks for watching.